Dear students, today we are going to discuss on Michelson-Morley experiment. In the previous class of theory of relativity, we had a discussion on the Galilean transformation, and then I told that the Galilean transformation failed to satisfactorily describe the theory of relativity of velocity of light in different medium, and this is the next step which laid the foundation stone of relativity, which was actually prescribed by Albert Einstein, and Michelson experiment was very important in this context. So let me first show you the idea behind the Michelson-Morley experiment. What Michelson and Morley did, they first considered that Earth is like that. This is our Earth. It is moving through some ether. Ether is the medium. Earth is surrounded by ether medium, and while moving in a particular direction, it is dragging the ether. It is being dragged through the ether. And in that context, the velocity of light with respect to ether was considered, and velocity of Earth with respect to ether, it was also considered. And it was considered that ether is stationary. Ether is stationary. And Earth is moving in a particular direction through the stationary medium, or being dragged through the stationary medium. Then let me draw the experimental diagram of the Michelson-Morley experiment. The experiment is very simple. It was exactly the setup is like the Michelson interferometer. It is actually the Michelson interferometer. First I am having some source of light. It is coming in a particular direction. Then I am having one convex lens which is being used here to make parallel beam of light. Parallel beam of light is coming in a particular direction, and here I have placed one semi-transparent glass plate. G1 is the semi-transparent glass plate through which the light is being partially reflected in upward direction and partially transmitted through. And the angle in which it is placed, it is exactly 45 degree with respect to the horizontal axis, so as to reflect the light vertically upward. And another ray of light or another component of light is being transmitted through. It is semi-transparent, semi-silvered glass plate G1. Then I have placed another glass plate. This is G2. This is called compensator. G2 is called compensator. Why it is called compensator, I will describe. Then I am having here one mirror, fully silvered mirror M1, and here I have placed another mirror. This is M2. So see, I will use single arrow for one component of light and double arrow for another component of light. So light is being divided into two parts. One is going upward direction, another is going in horizontal direction, and the light which is going in the horizontal direction, it is being transmitted to the glass plate G1. Then it is going in this direction, being reflected, it is coming again back, it is coming through it. Then again from this point it is going vertically downwards, and also this light being reflected from this mirror is coming vertically downwards, and it is also coming vertically downwards. So here, if you place one telescope T on the telescope, you are going to get the interference fringe pattern. The interference tells you about the superposition of light beam which is being divided from coherent source. So this can be considered as the source coherent, because from the single source the two rays are being divided. They are having exactly same amplitude, exactly same frequency, exactly same wavelength, and after being reflected from multiple mirrors, they are coming in a particular direction, meeting at a certain point. So on the telescope they are supposed to give you interference fringe pattern that is consecutive to darkness and brightness. So I think that if you have gone through the interference first, then it would have been very easier for understanding. And what is the role of the compensator G2? Look at this ray, second ray. It is going through, first it is going through this G1 in a particular direction, going to G2 in a particular direction. While coming back, it is compensating the path traveled through G1 in opposite direction, because as you know, the geometrical path of light is not the thing to be calculated in any interferometry or any experiment of light. Actually, you have to calculate the optical path, and optical path, it is called OP, optical path, is equals to geometrical path into refractive index. So refractive index is very important. As the light is traveling through the glass medium here, it should be compensated in opposite direction. Otherwise, there will be some error in calculating the path difference. So here what we are going to do, we are going to first calculate the path difference. From the path difference, we are going to calculate the phase difference, and then we are going to derive the conditions for maxima and minima. And from that, we will get to know that if the earth is dragging through the ether, there should be some fringe shift while rotating the total interferometer in 90 degree. Let's see that. So on that particular thing, you now try and understand, the whole setup is being placed on earth, and the whole setup is moving in a particular direction. The whole setup is moving in a particular direction. So actually there is no problem with this ray with double arrow. No problem. It is going in the direction of movement of earth, and it is being reflected opposite of the direction of the movement of earth. But the vertical ray, it is not just exactly vertical if the whole setup is moving. So actual thing will be like that. First, during the movement of the by certain length or in a particular direction with certain velocity, suppose v, the mirror is also moving. So actually the ray will be reflected like that in some triangular form, and during that time interval, this G1 plate will be situated here. Again, it will be reflected back in this direction. So I think I'm clear. What I told, that M2 mirror is also moving in a particular direction with v velocity. So this ray will not be exactly vertically upward if you consider relativity. This is like the thing that you are situated in the train and you are juggling some ball in your hand. So according to you, it will appear that the ball is going vertically upward and downwards, but to one passenger who is waiting for the train at the station, to him, as he is stationary, to him it will appear that the ball is going in this direction if you are juggling the ball while running in the train. So this is like that. So the ray is going actually in this direction and be reflected back in this point, and during this movement, this G1 plate is also being here because it is also moving. The whole setup is moving. Okay, now to the part of the theory. In this theory, we will consider that this path, the vertical path, it is L2, and this horizontal path, this is L1. L1 is the horizontal path, whole path L1. So there is actually difference in path. The path traveled by L2 and L1 is different. The path L1 and L2, these are different. Second, we are considering that the different speed of traveling with respect to the instruments, as we are considering the ether to be stationary. So we are considering c, it is the velocity of light with respect to ether. With respect to ether, and v is the velocity of earth with respect to ether. These are two constants we are considering for further calculations. So let us move forward. We will try to calculate first the time of the beam 1 to travel from P to M1. I am considering this point to be P, and let us consider this is beam 1 and this is beam 2. Okay, so first I am going to calculate the path or the time taken for this ray because before the point P both the rays are traveling same path. This path is same. After the deviation from the point P, they are traveling different paths. So we are going to calculate first the time. First the time for beam 1 to travel from P to M1 and come back and back. So what will be the time? You can easily calculate it. Time will be, if you consider the time is t1 while going to this direction, going in this direction, I have considered the whole length is L1, and velocity of light with respect to ether is c, and velocity of earth with respect to ether is v. So relative velocity will be L1 divided by c minus v, and while coming back it will be in opposite direction, so it will be L1 divided by c plus v. If you calculate it and simplify, you can take c square by v square common and L1 common, and in bottom you can take common c square minus v square. So in top you can write only c plus v minus plus c minus v. So you are getting twice L1. Here you are getting v cancelled, you are getting only c. So in the denominator and the numerator I am taking c common, actually c square common. Here I am taking c square common, so I will be getting here twice L1 into c, and in the numerator is the c into 1 minus v square by c square. 1 minus v square by c square, why I will tell you later. This is very important term in case of relativity. I can simplify it and write twice L1 divided by this will be c square, sorry, 1 c square and c will cancel out, c into 1 minus v square by c square. This is simplification. This is actually the value of t1. So t1 is what? T1 is the time taken for the ray 1 to travel from P to M1 and come back. This to this point and come back. This is T1. Okay. Similarly, I will calculate T2. T2 is the time of the ray to travel from P to M2 and come back. Listen, P to M2 and come back. P to M2 and come back. This vertical direction. This will not be as easier, because in that case I have to consider the relativistic length, and then I have to draw another diagram that during the movement how the experimental setup is changing. Suppose this is my point P1 at when I have started calculating the time, and it was the initial position of the mirror M2. So it is going upward and coming backward, going upward and coming downwards, but as it is in movement, during that the mirror M2 will change its position. This will be the new position of mirror M2, and the ray is going to get reflected in this direction. This is the glass plate, and it will be reflected in this direction, and this will be the new position of the glass plate then. And I know the vertical length, that is L2. So I am considering some points. Suppose this is O, and let this be point B A prime. So if I calculate the time T2 is the time to travel from P to M2 and come back. I have to calculate T2. So for this triangle, what can I write? I can write P A prime square equals to L2 square plus P O square. So from that I can write P A prime. It will be velocity of light is c T2 by 2 whole square. Why T2 by 2? because the whole time taken from this to that point is t1. So only going to that point is t2 by 2. C is the velocity, c t2 by 2 whole square. Then it will be L2 square plus PO square. In this direction, the earth is moving in this direction with velocity v. So for PO, I can write the same thing, this v into t2 by 2 whole square, half of the length, t2 by 2, whole time t2, so p2o p2 by 2. Simplify it and calculate. Finally you will converge to the result. I'm taking this and this in same side. So what can I take common? I can take common t2 square divided by 4 into c square minus v square equals to L2 square. So t2, that will be equals to twice L2 by c into whole to the power of 1 minus v square by c square. Here also I have taken c square common like the previous thing. So I am getting two values t1 and t2. Then I can easily take the difference between t1 and t2. So let us calculate the difference in time. Difference in time, delta t, that can be calculated as t2 minus t1. Simplify it, it will be from this you are taking common the value of t1. You remember the value of t1? The value of t1 was equals to twice L1 by c whole to the power 1 minus v square by c square. So the value of t1 was twice L1 by c into 1 minus v square by c square, this one, and this is twice L2 by c whole to the power 1 minus v square by c square. So what I am doing, I am taking 2 by c common, 2 by c common, then L2 divided by whole to the power of 1 minus v square by c square minus L1 into 1 minus v square by c square. Here I am having root, but here I am not having the root. If I say if L1 equals to L2 equals to L, if the lengths are same in horizontal and vertical direction from point P to the mirror M1 and M2 respectively, then if you put here L1 equals to L2, then the value of delta t will be changing to twice L by C. Then you expand both the things in binomial. In binomial expansion of this one, you will get, neglecting higher order terms, v square by twice c square. Here you will get minus of 1 minus 1 plus v square by c square, bracket close, and finally you will converge to the result minus L v square by c cube. This is the value of delta t. Delta t is the difference in time or travel in horizontal and vertical direction for the two rays. Now the thing is that, suppose this is the whole setup of Michelson-Morley experiment. This is the whole setup. The whole setup is being rotated by 90 degree. Whole setup. Now the setup is in vertical direction. Whole setup is rotated by 90 degree. So L1 and L2, they will change their position. The L1 will be changed to L2 and L2 will be changed to L1. Both will take their position upside down. So in that particular case, if I say that when the whole setup is being rotated by 90 degree, in that particular case, if I say that delta t prime is the difference. Previously I considered delta t was the difference, now I consider delta t prime is the difference. So how did you calculate delta t? I calculated delta t by t2 minus t1. So here delta t prime will be equals to t2 prime minus t1 prime, and L1 and L2 will be interchanged. So how it will be interchanged? Instead of L1 in this equation I will put L2, and instead of L2 I will put L1. So the equation will be 2 by c. Look, this difference, this one, but L1 and L2 interchanged. So it will be L2 divided by 1 minus v square by c square minus L1 whole to the power of 1 minus v square by c square. This calculation I have not shown, but if you start from the very beginning and if you interchange N1 and L2, you will converge to the result. This is not required actually this is not required to show. You can simply add this one, that after calculation, after rotation of 90 degree, I will get the new change of time after rotation of 90 degree. In rotation of 90 degree, after rotation of 90 degree, you will get the new change of time like this one. Okay, now I am having two values, delta t and delta t prime. That is, when the setup is in its original position, then what is the change of time, and when it is rotated, then what is the change of time, what is the difference of time of travel. Now I am taking the difference between del t and del t prime. What I will get from that, I am getting that the rotation changes the difference in time. So hence the rotation changes the difference by, I am writing it like that, the rotation changes the difference by what? Rotation of 90 degree changes the difference by, so it will be delta t prime minus delta t. You put all the values, 2 by c whole to the power of L1 plus L2 into 1 minus v square by c square minus L1 plus L2 whole divided by whole to the power of 1 minus v square by c square. Again, like the previous one, you simplify it by in binomial expansion. Take common L1 plus L2 divided by c, expand in binomial form, and you will get after expanding 1 minus v square by c square. First time will be 1 plus v square by c square minus of 1 minus of v square divided by 2i's c square. So it will be nearly equals to 2 into L1 plus L2 divided by c into v square by 2i's c square. Rest of the terms will cancel out. So actually you are getting 2 cancels out, L1 plus L2 whole divided by c into v square by c square. So if I know about if L1 equals to L2, then delta t prime minus delta t, this will be equals to 2 into Lv square by c cube. So previously the difference we calculated, if L1 equals to L2, we got previously the difference was Lv square by c cube. Now I am getting 2 Lv square by c cube. This was negative sign, that is if we take the magnitude only, I will understand that this is just rotation has changed or improved the difference by twice the previous one. Okay, then come the rotation changes the difference to twice the this one, and then we can, from this formula we can take the triangular shift. The triangle shift is calculated, this is actually the fringe shift, is calculated as delta t prime minus delta t divided by capital T, and this can be written from this formula, L1 plus L2 divided by c into v square by c square. Capital T can be written as lambda by c, so inverse of that, c by lambda. This c and that c cancels out. This will be L1 plus L2 divided by lambda into v square by c square. Now in real Michelson-Morley experiment, the value of L1 plus L2, it is generally b 22 meter, and the value of v by c, if you calculate, it is of the order of 10 to the power minus 4. And if you take lambda sodium light, that is 5893 Armstrong, average of d1 d2, and in that particular case the value of delta n, that will be calculated as 0.4, that a rotation of 90 degree will shift the fringe by 1/4. It is provided 1/4. So what I told, the rotation of 90° will change the will shift a 4 length of fringe shift. But the result, what is the result? What was the result? The result was negative, because after repeating the Michelson-Morley experiment several times, several time of the day, several day of the year, and several season of the year in different condition, nobody got this shift. No one in Michelson-Morley experiment. And that is why it was told that it is giving negative result. And what was the basis of this negative result? The basis was the previous hypothesis that I told, that ether is stationary and earth is being dragged through the air with some relative velocity. The idea was wrong. And because the idea was wrong, the result was negative. Nobody got any positive result with Michelson-Morley experiment with that consideration of ether drag hypothesis. If the ether drag hypothesis were true, then in that particular direction the setup is there, you will get some fringe system in the telescope, and when you are rotating it, the fringe should be shifted by 1/4 of the fringe. But it was not there, not present. And after that, the same experiment was performed in 1902 by some electromagnetic radiation. Instead of light or sodium light, they performed it with electromagnetic radiation. For that also it gave negative result. So the conclusion is that Michelson-Morley experiment is true and the experimental setup were very good. After repeating in different times of the day, different days of the year and different seasons of the year, we got negative result. Because the hypothesis that we considered was wrong, and ether drag hypothesis then was not considered for case of relativity. Then what was the reason for that? Then came the Fizeau-Hurst experiment, then came the Lorentz length contraction hypothesis and everything. But because of all of these, that Fizeau-Hurst and Lorentz, they gave the idea that actually not that when one medium, suppose if I consider the ether is stationary and any object is moving, dragging through the air to the ether, and its length should be contracted by some dimension 1 minus v square by c square whole root. It was a Lorentz hypothesis. And if we take the Lorentz hypothesis, the consideration of time and the fringe shift was clearly described by that. So after the failure of Michelson-Morley experiment to describe the ether drag hypothesis, the hypothesis was not considered by the scientists, and then Einstein took the Lorentz length contraction hypothesis. In the next class and in the next video, we'll get to know what is Lorentz transformation and what is Lorentz length contraction and time dilation hypothesis. So that is all for this day, and I will now request you to go through a textbook on the theory of Michelson-Morley experiment. And if you get time and if you can manage the time, try to go through some theories of interference, because unless you understand interference, you will not understand then why we are calculating the path difference. The path difference is very much related with phase difference, and phase difference and path difference both are related with the related to actually the creation of fringe, the shift of fringe and everything. So try to go through a little theory of interference and go through the theory of Michelson-Morley experiment. In the next class we will upload the video on the Lorentz length contraction hypothesis. Thank you for the day.